Let's face it, September can be a super tough time to fish for bass. And I've been very blessed through my years to have several mentors to fish with me this time of year and to spend a lot of time in the water this time of year. And I'm going to give you my top four choices for what you need to be throwing for those shallow water September bass. So let's get into it. The first bait, this is one you can cover a lot of water with and get you some really big, vicious bites, and that is going to be a buzz bait. A buzz bait this time of year can cover a ton of water, and that's traditionally the biggest problem with this time of year in September is figuring out where those fish are. A buzz bait can get it done. It can for rocks, stumps, laydowns, transition banks. There's so many different types of cover that this bait will work great around, but also you can cover lots and lots and lots of water really quickly to figure out where exactly those fish are. I throw my buzz baits on 20-pound fluorocarbon. And the reason I do that, I know a lot of people throw it on braid, but the reason I throw it on 20-pound fluorocarbon is I have figured out through the years that it is just so much more forgiving when you're fishing tight in that thick cover. You can throw it over the head of a stump. You can throw it in the limbs of a laydown and get it back out. Also, the blades with braid tend to catch the line. I don't know how many times when I was trying to figure out how to throw these lures on braid, I would reel it in and the line was in between the rivet and the blade wound up. Fluorocarbon eliminates that. You can just keep chunking and winding, chunking and winding. When we fished the Pickwick Championship, that was 3 years ago now. It was 2 or 3 years ago now. The Pickwick Toyota Series Championship. I had found in pre-practice just right before, it was in September, it was right before our cutoff, I had found an awesome buzzbait bite. And all I did was take a buzzbait, put my trolling motor in the water right at the boat ramp, and I just started covering water. And I found out that in the back half of the pockets, they were stacked, and I was catching some really good ones on a buzz bait. It didn't materialize in the tournament. The fish ended up transitioning and changing throughout the tournament, but in September, this bait can get the job done. So put a buzz bait in your hand, go after those shallow September bass, and you will find them and catch them. The next bait, along the same line as the buzz bait, this bait allows you to cover a lot of water really quickly, and that can be a huge key in September, and that is the Alabama rig. This is a hog farmer. I also love the Picassos, and the reason I love both of those brands is because they make them out of super durable components. Camo wire, heavy duty swivels, heavy duty clips, really strong heads. Epoxy heads is a very important thing to me because if you go with a lead head, you will notice a lead head Alabama rig will make the bait tumble when you cast it because there's a lot of weight up here and a lot of weight back on the jig heads. So it'll start to tumble. Picasso and Hog Farmer both use epoxy heads, and what that does is it makes the jig head and the swim baits that you put on there the actual heaviest part of this rig. So this right here, when you cast it, it casts more like a bullet instead of tumbling in the air. So make sure you get some good quality A rigs because when you get on this bite, it can be really amazing. September, shallow bass. The reason why this bait's coming up in my mind is because covering those flats, covering those rock transitions, a little bit like not on the bank, more like off the bank but still shallow. Covering when you go into the pockets, the channel of the pocket in the middle of that channel. Sometimes they'll push bait up in there. This is the bait I call for that. The buzz baits, my burning down the bank, covering that cover bait. But then when you get in a shallower, offshore-ish kind of deal with this bait, this is where this excels. So those are my two baits for covering water this time of year. And let's be honest, September is a forage-based time of year. There's so much first-year hatch bait available, whether it's fry from the bass that spawned, whether it's fry from the bluegill, or whether it's fry from the shad that spawned. There's so much bait this time of year that those two baits work great, especially the A-Rig, work great in mimicking that, and that's why those two baits are hard to beat in September.
Let's take a quick minute to bring to you the Angler's Choice Boat of the Week. This is a 2024 Ranger RT-188 beautiful red aluminum bass boat, powered by a Minn Kota trolling motor and Mercury outboard. This boat will get you out on the water catching bass in no time. This boat was recently reduced over $3,000 down to $33,995. Get it at AnglersChoiceMarine.com.
Now, once you've had the fish found and you have really dialed into, okay, the fish are on the laydowns in this stretch of the lake, then you can slow down with the next two baits. And the first bait is the missile jig. The missile jig with the G-Chunk is a just a workhorse for this time of year. It gets in those laydowns, it gets back out, and then when you catch a big fish in there, this is the flip out. When you catch a big fish in there, this has the hook to get that fish out of that structure. The P-head on a missile jig is crucial to being a very versatile jig. There's a lot of head styles in the jig game. I think a P-head is by far one of the most versatile heads out there. I don't throw black and blue with pearl white. This is just so you can see the trailer. I put this on there so you can see the trailer good. But this is my workhorse this time of year. I throw this on 20-pound fluorocarbon most of the time. There's very few situations I change from that. But good stout jig rod. I throw it on sticks number 4 with a 20-pound test. This right here will get the job done in September on those shallow bass. Great for around docks. Great for in laydowns. Just a great lure this time of year. The next lure, number 4, is the more finesse-y version of a jig, in my opinion. And that is a shaky head missile magic worm. Missile magic worms are just a very versatile all year round bait for me. I throw these everywhere all year round. But in September, on a shaky head, in the laydowns, in the shallow cover, just going down the bank. I mean, those fish that wolf pack up and just get to cruising down the bank, this right here will get the job done for those fish. So these are my 4 baits. This one right here is one that I feel like I can throw at any fish on any structure and catch them the most. Those other ones have their places that they're a little bit better than not quite as universal as the magic worm. That's why I saved that one for last, because it kind of covers everything. But if you take these 4 baits, you get up shallow in September, you can catch you a pile of bass. So I hope you take something from this. Go out there next time you get in a situation that you're trying to find those fish. Go shallow. Go look for them up shallow. You'll be surprised how many fish are up there. And the beauty of these, especially the buzzbait and the Alabama rig, is if you cover enough water up shallow, you can pretty much write it off if you don't get a bite, and it might be an all offshore deal, and then that's when you just have to change the game. So stay out there, tight lines, and catch them up.